we have learnt in the last couple of hours or so the situation which faced this group of Australians on Monday as they were leaving the Al-Roj camp in northeastern Syria. This group of 11 women, often dubbed ISIS brides, people who had travelled to the Middle East to join their Islamic State fighter partners, and 23 children that they had with those individuals, including some who have been born inside camps in Syria since the fall of Islamic State a couple of years ago. What we now know is that, yes, these individuals do have passports. We have been reporting that for a number of days, but we've had further detail in the last couple of hours that these individuals have been issued with single entry passports. In other words, sort of single-use passports, the ones that they will use to get to Australia, and then they will be effectively surrendered there. And that does seem to tally with not only what we were hearing from the group themselves earlier in the week, but also with anecdotes or recollections that we had learned back in February last year when the ABC last gained access to Al-Roj and spoke to two of these women. And they said at the time that in 2022, Australian officials had travelled to the Al-Roj camp, had gone through DNA and identity checks, and that could well be the process which has led the Australian government to issue travel documents in this instance. Tony Burke, the Home Affairs Minister, was asked about this on the ABC 7:30 program last night. He didn't explicitly say, yes, they did have these passports, but he also didn't say no, and he said that it was an obligation of the Australian government to do that. What we have also learnt is that the camp staff in Al-Roj were not really expecting them to be turned around. When they left on Monday morning in a convoy of 3 vans escorted by Kurdish fighters through the Kurdish-controlled part of Syria, only to be turned around by Syrian government authorities who said they couldn't travel on to Damascus. In that period, staff at the Al-Roj camp had actually started to demolish some of their tents. So they've returned there, and now some of them haven't got those individual tents, so they've had to effectively bunk in together. We are also learning that there is this discussion about what will be their movements from here. The Al-Roj camp is saying that it is prepared to work with their families and their supporters who had tried to arrange their departure from Al-Roj on Monday. They are prepared to do that again, but they are insisting that all of the responsibility for making those arrangements lies with the families and their supporters.